Okay, calling to order the August 15, 2022 meeting of the Municipal Authority. We are just back from an executive session to discuss legal and personnel matters. I don't know why we have status report early on in this agenda. Is that
It's just an FYI.
just an, okay. Oh, I guess I'm on the proposed agenda. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, got it. I got it. Sorry. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I did not take attendance, which I will do now. Paul Montefiore is not here today. Louis Rosenthal.
Here.
Tom Greco.
Yeah.
Maria Kane, I'm here, and Mark Kay,
Here.
joining us via Zoom. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
All right, thanks, Tom. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now I'd like to move into public comment for agenda items only. So if you're here from the public and you see something on the agenda that you wanted to comment on, now would be the time. If it's not on the agenda, there'll be another opportunity for you. Okay. All right, moving on, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the July 18, 2022 meeting of the Municipal Authority?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Any questions?
Second.
I'll take a second. Thank you, Louis. Any questions or comments? I think, did you have any on that, Louis? I thought I had one, but.
I did not.
Oh, I did, but I looked at it and resolved my issue or
Okay.
whatever concern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously. All right, treasurer's report. Is Rich with us?
He does.
Rich is with you.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Rich. Do we have a treasurer's report tonight?
Yeah, sure. I would just like to make note that I have included one additional report in this month's treasurer's report at the request of the board. Last meeting, the board asked me to put pretty much the outstanding construction items for the 537 in line with cash on hand. So you'll find the bond construction fund cash projections in this month's report. And then with that being said, if the board had any questions, I'm here to answer.
I have, I don't know if it's a question. I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead, please.
On that additional report, and by the way, thank you for putting it together. It is very comprehensive. I mean, you point out that it's basically a cash reconciliation. So it outlines, I guess, what I would call use of bond proceeds over 4 years. There are just a couple of questions I have, and it may be nomenclature, or it may not be a full understanding. There's not a glossary here. So if Maria, if you don't object, and Tom and Mark don't object, I'd love to just sort of follow up with Rich on a couple of things, and anything that comes out of it, we just report back.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea, and
The number is not significant compared to what's in the rest of the treasurer's report in this package, but it's the first time I'm seeing this info, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that something we're going to continue to do?
We will continue to give you this report going forward.
It'd be nice to kind of watch it as it goes forward so that we kind of can keep an eye.
Right, and especially in light of the fact that it's on the agenda a little bit later, we're now making principal reductions to our bond on September 1st. So
Yep.
that's a first for us, isn't it?
Did we do one in May, Rich?
We did do one.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So it's a second for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, close enough, close enough.
Fairly new, so, okay, I think that's a great idea. All right, anything else in your report, Rich? I mean, you gave us quite a bit of information, which we appreciate.
No, if the board has no other questions, that concludes my treasurer's report.
Okay. All right, and we'll approve, can I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
Any questions or comments in addition? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you, Rich.
All right, Dave Porter is here from MacCombie's office, and you have a engineer's report.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Chair. First item on my list is we have a bid opening tonight, which was for the construction related to stream bank improvements at 314 Summit Avenue. Just for the authority's benefit and background, there's a sanitary sewer main that runs from the street on Summit Avenue down the homeowner's driveway. It kind of angles almost 90 degrees through the backyard and parallels a small stream through the backyard. When the sewer line was constructed in the early 2000s, apparently some of the, I guess there was some cribbing along the stream was removed. It was never adequately replaced. So the authority moved forward with this project to stabilize the stream bank. And actually there's an alternate for just the northern side of the stream bank and an alternate for the southern side as well. And it's really an add alternate, not two separate either ors. So overall, we're obligated to read the bids aloud. We received bids from 5 contractors. The first was JMC Contractors, Inc. for alternate number, I'm sorry, for the base bid was $78,180.00. For the additional alternate one for the south side of the stream, there was additional $30,000.00. Total bid is $108,180.00. And JMC is the apparent low bidder on this project. Flyway Excavating Inc. is the next highest bidder. For their base bid is $83,400.00. For the add alternate one, they bid $50,000.00 for a total of $133,400.00. The next contractor was Crisana Construction Incorporated. Their base bid was $107,470.00. The add alternate one is $30,500.00. Total bid is $137,970.00. Next contractor is Ecotone Inc. Their base bid was $132,789.38. The add alternate one is $65,888.00 for a total bid of $198,677.38. And the last contractor is Foresight Concepts, Inc. And their base bid was $157,602.17. The add alternate one is $94,000.00 for a total bid of $251,602.17. It appears that the contractors completed all bid items, and our office will, over the next month, review to ensure that all contractors are responsive and responsible, meaning that they've completed all the necessary paperwork, supplied their bid bond, and then we'll make a recommendation for award of the contract at the next monthly meeting.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Just as in, again, a matter of process, and this would be the first contract process I've been through on the municipal authority. My guess is quantitative issues are probably the biggest, lowest cost. Do you do any type of reconciliation of qualitative level setting of the multiple bids to make sure we're comparing apples with apples?
Well, that's the whole premise of putting that out to public bid. So what we do is prepare a contract manual and bid package. We, in this case, upload it to a website called PenBid, and each contractor has the ability to review the exact same bid documents, the exact same plans, the exact same quantities. They're able to ask questions with regard to any of the documents on the bid, and responses are made available to all the contractors so that everything is apples to apples.
You're pretty limited in your qualitative analysis. as a public entity.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess the real qualitative issue for me, and maybe it's not an issue, is if everybody's bidding within, let's just say $10 of one another, and everybody is going to use the materials that we specified in our document, but somebody can do it 2 months quicker, and they have a track record of doing it 2 months quicker. To me, the difference, the way I would personally behave is I might spend an additional $10 to get it done 2 months quicker. I understand we may not be allowed to do that in the Commonwealth, but
Yeah, right. Here
There's
you
a
can't do
statute.
that. So basically the threshold is responsive and responsible.
Correct.
So if they were responsive to the bid package and they're deemed responsible, which is not the highest threshold in the world,
correct.
then the low bid is the victor.
Yeah, typically we identify a time frame in which we want the project to be completed in the bid package. I believe this one is 120 days. And this one actually, because it's in-stream work, I think has some seasonal restriction. So they're not allowed to do the in-stream work until I think it's October 15th.
Okay.
Due to some T&E species, threatened and endangered species coordination. So, but that's an excellent question.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll get back to us at the next meeting for
Yes, ma'am.
after confirmation. Okay. What else? Dave, anything else at this time?
Just a couple of updates with regard to Pomona Avenue and Fairview Avenue. There was a resident previously in attendance that had inquired about some damage to Pomona Avenue. He did forward some additional videos and pictures. I've circulated that with the authorities, operations officer and the solicitor. And there's obviously some further coordination we need to undertake in order to respond to that homeowner, which is ongoing. I don't want to get too far into the sanitary sewer project contract resolution. Our office did have an opportunity to meet with representatives from J.O. Bradley. They've committed to providing an itemized list of delays and quantifying that with cost and providing that to the authority for review, hopefully in an effort to close out those contracts. There is an item for reparation of a driveway at 125 and 139 Hunt Valley Circle. The property owners are the Dismans. Recall that they had some drainage issues where they granted an easement for the sewer authority to install sewer line through the driveway. They had some existing drainage problems above their site, which came down through the easement area. The authority's contractor did some additional grading on behalf of the authority and the property owner during construction of the sanitary sewer line. Did not resolve all of the drainage issues, and it was clear to the property owner that we weren't ever going to undertake that study and completely resolve those issues. But nevertheless, we final paved the driveway the residents come back and said that, now that they're doing an elevator pit and renovations to the outbuilding, that the drainage is worse to that outbuilding. So Jamie MacCombie from our office went out and took a look at it, created a grading plan, quantified an area of paving that he felt may be something that the authority would be inclined to take upon themselves to reimburse the Dismans for. The additional drainage improvements that would be necessary to completely resolve the issue would be completely the responsibility of the Dismans. And that includes some additional stone curbing and some additional grading, swales and berms above the driveway area. So the estimated cost is about $10,400 for basically milling out, regrading, and repaving a portion of that driveway. So I don't see that the property owner is in attendance tonight, so that's something that obviously they're seeking approval from the authority. So it's at the authority's pleasure. I can answer any questions, or we can review any plans that you might want to see.
So from, I did see some plans on this, and the 10,400, was that for the portion that Mr. MacCombie had indicated might be a reasonable contribution from, from the authority?
Correct, and it's just
and reasonably related to the work that we had done, as opposed to the additional work that was done on the property by the property owners.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then that 10,400, where'd that come from? How did we arrive at that amount?
That was an engineering cost estimate that our office prepared using some additional comparable quotes from other projects.
Gotcha. So could we actually go out and see if we couldn't get some telephonic pricing on that to see if that's reasonable?
You certainly can. And I know that the authority would be inclined to ask the Dismans to sign a release for whatever the authority agreed to reimburse. So
Yeah, I don't know that we need to take any action right now, but I think you could go out and get these bid, get the telephonic bids. And once we have those, then we could approve it. But so depending on whether or not the Dismans would be willing to accept that as a resolution of any of their issues with drainage there. Thoughts on that? I'm seeing a lot of staring.
I see Steve's inquisitive look, and I think I know where he's going.
I'm just running the
Am I
numbers.
putting
I'm
the
running
cart
the
before the
numbers in
horse?
I'm just running the numbers in my brain. How many bids we're going to require. I think we
I think
only
it's
would
3.
require one on this, but
Right.
You're
But-
below the threshold.
we're below the
Yeah.
threshold.
Right.
But so,
Yeah.
but
I thought
I
it
think,
was a policy matter of 3. But
Yeah.
well, I mean,
Unless they came back higher than the threshold, since
I
the
gotcha.
10,000
Gotcha. Okay,
or 11,200.
Threshold's in the 11.
Yeah.
perfect.
So if they come up at the estimate, then you'll be in great shape.
Great shape. Yeah.
If they come up above the estimate, we'll have to get a couple extra,
Correct.
make a couple extra calls.
All right. Well, we look forward to hearing back from you on that. date.
One other item I wanted to share with the authority that's not an agenda item is a resident at 4113 Battles Lane. Her name's Lyndon Mills. She contacted our office indicating that she has a tree on the property that is dying. She believes it's related to the sewer project. I did take a look at the plans, and the sanitary sewer is completely within Battles Lane along the frontage of that property. We do not have any easements. We did not do any off-road work there. I'm not sure how close in proximity to the road the tree is. I do know it's along their easterly property line, or the property line in common with 4111 Battles Lane. So I did let Mrs. Mills know that I would bring it to the authority's attention at the next meeting. And my recommendation to the authority would be to have the arborist go out and take a look at it and make a determination as to whether the sewer project impacted that tree. Similar to what we've done with other folks.
what was that address again?
4113 Battles Lane.
All right. I'm not sure, again, if we need a motion on that. No. So we'll just go ahead and reach out and report back at the next meeting.
So you're comfortable, I'm hearing you're comfortable with me getting the arborist to go do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Have the arborist go out and take a look. Absolutely. Anybody else have a problem with that?
No, thank you.
Nope.
Those are all the updates I have that are not agenda items.
And Maria, I'll just bring up a little update on Camelot Pump Station. We did complete the fencing. We remember a couple months back, we said we would be moving the fencing to be more aesthetic. We moved it. We had a big discussion. Mike told us we were allowed to do it. And the keys, Dave, are still on the fence, so you might want to have them put the keys inside, please.
Thanks, Mark. Will
Thank
do.
you.
All the easy access.
All right, and Mike Madgen, our solicitor, do you have any report for us this?
I don't have anything to report beyond our discussions in executive session,
Thank you.
nor do I think I ever will, for that matter. But, yeah, if you want to leave this on here, that's great.
All right. What about you, Steve? Operations manager.
Yeah, I just have two quick things. One, I met with KBX, which is our operations kind of day-to-day provider to all our pump stations. They have gotten a little behind in getting you the monthly reports that you're supposed to have. And so we've been meeting with them, George and I, and they are in the process of going back and getting all those together for you. You will get those shortly. They've had a little bit of changeover in their team. And so that's they're just going through some growing pains. The good news is there's everything that's out there is mostly minor that they're concerned about. There's a few other things that they'll get us back on, and I've asked them to go through in light of what we're doing for our long-term capital. I've asked them to give me a kind of review, particularly of the older pump stations,
Right.
what they think the requirements will be over the next 5 to 10 years, at least to get us, going in that direction so that we can start really building a plan in that way. So I just wanted you to know that. I would make note that the Lairdsons are here this evening. That's switching gears. Item number 2, the Lairdsons are here this evening. And I know we can address that at, I guess, the public comment stage, but we've been going back and forth with some information. And so we probably do need to discuss that at some point.
Yeah,
Maria, I think if you want to take their comments during Steve's report, since he's been working on it, so that they don't have to stay here all night.
Can't
yeah,
hear,
no, I think
Mike.
that's a great idea. So, Steve, is there anything you want to do to start? or do
If
you
I
wanna
could
let-
just give us a nutshell to
Yeah,
make sure
give us-
everybody's on the same
Yep.
page.
Summary of where
so
we've been and
kind of where
we
we've
are
been,
at right now.
I'm going to skip almost 2.5 years worth of where we've been, though, and say
Yes,
that.
okay, where we've been recently. How
I'm
about
going to
that?
talk about recent times. If you'll remember back in, I believe it was May and June, both, Miss Lairdson was here and expressed concern that, where her yard was, some of the issues that were going around. We made a decision at the June meeting, I believe, that we were going to go out to their property. And we did that. We walked their property, Tom and Maria and myself and Dave and Mike, thank you. We were all there together. We walked the property and we came up with a list. That list has been sent over to the Lairdsons for review. And, once they feel confident that's everything that we need to address, we're also pulling together what it would cost for each one of those things. And we're just about there. There is one item that I got back from Pam this week related to the landscape person to come in. One of the issues is that there's an area where we probably about a third of their farther part of their backyard was, pretty well de-treed in order to get the line through that area. They've since planted quite a few trees back there, but it's compared to the rest of the yard, it has a lot of growing to do to catch up. And so they were asking for potentially some kind of screening or something in that area. And so that's one area that I think that if I'm saying correctly how I understand your email, you're feeling like you need a little guidance on what that would look like. But other than that, I think we're working through everything else and have pretty much numbers on everything, or will have numbers for you very shortly so that we can bring closure to what needs to be done going forward. The letter was, or the recap was in everybody's packet. So I hope that you've had a chance to review that, understand, I think there was like about 9 different items that we had talked about at their place. We've had the arborists go out. Earth Care has come out and or has come back and said that they did not want to give a credit. They want to come back and do the job. And so we have to obviously let them do that. And so I think that kind of gets us up to where we are today. The Lairdsons may have some additional comment. There was a request for some meters on their hose bibs. The authority did purchase hose bib meters and put them on. I believe they've been installed, hopefully. And we agreed to 5 quarters of readings that we would do going forward. So I don't know if you have anything else that you would want to add to what I've shared. If you'd please stand at the mic, just so that particularly those at home can hear.
Yes, so we haven't really started speaking.
Don't hear you.
Is the mic on? Is it red or is it green? There you go.
Okay, sorry. We haven't really started speaking to landscapers yet because one, we're not really sure what Earth Care is going to do. So this is the first time we're both hearing that
Sure.
they're going to come back out. So is Earth Care going to just take care of basically kind of the front, the side, and then the yard itself, as far as properly grading it, because the whatever the graders are called, surveyors came out and surveyed it. And then we're just asking the landscaper to kind of deal with the back portion that was the woods. Is that correct, Ben?
I mean,
Yeah,
if I can
so-
speak, that was my understanding that,
Yeah,
yeah.
Earth Care, we asked Earth Care, one, if they'd be willing to issue a credit for anything that the balance of the work that they were obligated to come back out and address, which being kind of re-leveling and placing more topsoil, raking and seeding from the street down along the corner of the property
To the rock almost.
to the rock,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
along the side of the property. And that was it. That's essentially what they committed to come back to do. They didn't commit to do anything in the rear yard, to do any kind of regrading. I know there's some drainage concerns back there that we committed to put together a grading plan for you, which we have done. I just haven't circulated it with the authority yet. But that is something that I guess if the Lairduses are inclined, would they be able to seek their own landscaper or consultant to do soup to nuts everything, including whatever Earth Care was going to do? And then Earth Care is just basically done, and then everything else could be wrapped into one umbrella if that's the way the Lairdusons wanted to go. I guess that's a question I think that needed to be sorted out from the last meeting to
But it's my understanding
Current.
Earth Care has already been paid in full.
Earth Care has
Right.
been paid in full, yes.
Earth Care was paid by us with
By the
the,
Lairdusons, yes.
with
Right.
the intention that we were going to get reimbursed by the municipal authority, which we
Right.
haven't, and we paid that in April. And it was $6,300. So that's a big chunk of change that we're.
But what I'm trying to say with that is that amount of work, Earth Care is saying that they'll come out and fix the work that they've been paid for. They don't want, they don't want to give us or you a credit for that.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, I mean, there's 2 things we can do here. Number one, we could give you, reimburse you for the Earth Care. with the understanding that there would be a limited release for that. And, that would be it with respect to that work in the front of the yard and the side of the yard. And then we would deal with the remaining portions of this project separately. So otherwise, we could have a commitment at this stage if we could get to a number, and that's why it would have been nice had you had a landscaper go out there and price out the remaining work, which is what I thought we were gonna get. And I apologize if there was some confusion in that, but I thought that was pretty clear in Steve's memo that what we would be really helpful for us, and I think for you in the end,
Right.
is that if we had a price for everything else,
Right.
we could do, basically one transaction here with you and
Right.
get you completely whole. And you would say, for that small portion of the side there, I know you wanted drainage to go down into your wetlands and the grading in the back, and then the screening out back. And then there were some tree issues that I think we're pretty much done with at this point, which trees we
The arborist has been out and we met out, I want to say.
Yeah, I
mid-July.
haven't, but I don't know if you've gotten a report from the arborist, but we have not had any contact from the
He
arborist.
said the 3 trees that were in the back of the property, I think they're beech trees. He believes those 3 do have significantly been damaged enough that they would need to come down.
And so, and then in theory, they need to come down before anything's done because they're gonna come through that same.
Yeah.
alley.
Yeah, so we can get pricing on that, but the pricing that I think we were waiting for from you was landscaping for the grading
Yeah,
right in the
so-
back based on the survey that was done, right?
Right.
Which is
so-
great, piece of information for whatever landscaper you have, right?
And
Maybe if
we don't have that report.
You don't
either.
have that, okay,
So
well,
we can't-
that's not good.
Yeah.
We'll have to get that to you.
So,
Yeah, I think for sure, I believe that the engineer has done the survey and has a cost estimate related to doing that, just the grading and reseeding, I believe has that. The piece that's for sure out there, that's like the big question mark is what is the screening? And I call it screening, but whatever that look is that you're wanting to have when you look out your window that you say, I can tolerate this while everything grows. That's the piece that, until we know that piece, it's really hard for us to know where we're moving forward dollar wise on the whole piece. And so that's what we're looking for.
So I think you can appreciate our past efforts with the landscapers. Unless we can give them the actual scope of what they need to do, they can't give us a quote. And so we've been waiting for the earth care determination.
Sure.
So we
And
can
you're
tell
just
the
hearing,
lands-
and you're
and we're
just
just
hearing
hearing-
that.
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
So-
apologize,
so
okay.
that-
Well,
'cause
I
that
guess
was
we
the-
just recently got it too, so I
Right,
guess it's all,
Right, so that's,
Yeah.
that's where that.
okay. And
ended
you know,
up.
what concerns me about the earth care thing too, is that whoever is gonna do all this work in the back is gonna have to run over the area that earth care needs to repair. So that needs to be coordinated too.
yeah, so
Um,
it actually has to go in the order.
It
of-
should be
has to
done last, in
trees,
other words,
The back landscaping and then.
and then the
grading.
earth care area, yeah.
So,
I
so my
agree.
question about earth care though is, Maria, I think you said this when you were on the walkthrough, right? There would be better quality control on site as they do work.
Right,
So does that mean they're going to adhere to the specifications of the survey work? Because
Well,
those
this
guys
is-
checked all that front, like we want them to do it right,
Mhm.
this time to fix what they
Well,
did.
I think what we're trying to get at here is we'd like to get to a position where we can make an offer to you, basically, right? To say, here's the benefit of all the work that we've done and the research that we've done. And if you were gonna go out and get a contractor that you feel comfortable with, right?
Right.
And if we knew how much it was going to cost for that, and then we combined that with the value of the earth care work that might need to be redone, because they're gonna have to run over that whole area again, then you would be in a position to oversee that, and we could
Yeah,
compensate.
it hasn't worked in the past though,
What do you
With
mean?
us being quality control on the job site, because we don't know what good looks like in terms of operational work. We only know when they're done, what it looks like. So like,
Well,
for example,
you are the best quality control there is, in my opinion, the homeowner.
well,
Well, until, I mean,
Because we can never guarantee that you're gonna be 100% happy with any
right,
contract.
I understand that.
We want you to select a contractor that's competent and
Sure.
that does the work that, you know, is agreed to. So we can help you with that by way of the survey, you know, which is good information for a landscaper because they've got measurements. They also have elevations and they have like, you know, water flow a little bit in there, you know, to help with their irrigation determinations. So then they can come up with a quote that's, you know, good, right? And it'll include a list of everything they're going to do and it'll be a reliable quote. And then we can take a look at that and combine it with all of the areas that we're going to take responsibility for. I mean, I think some of the trees we can't take responsibility for that were questionable, but I think Steve's laid that out in his memo. And then some of the trees we're going to take responsibility for. You know, I mean, I don't know that maybe we can help with some of the tree removal. That might be a separate contractor and that, because that should be done first.
Right,
But,
right. Well,
you know.
we would probably go back and use Jack Green again. That's who we use and the other. I'm assuming they are not gonna be able to come in off of Echo Valley, but they're gonna have to come through our whole property.
with the tree removal equipment, they're probably going to have to go through the area that.
they might be able to do those with ropes.
Yeah,
They're small
that's-
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they may be able to climb them
Yeah.
and top them.
But they usually like that little
They still,
cage,
yeah.
that cage thing that
Yeah.
So
they,
can we
little
just,
bobcat or something.
can we
Bobcat,
agree
yeah.
just to use Jack Green because we've used them for the other trees that we reimbursed for and we were happy with the work that they did? That
Well,
possible, so
Steve,
we
will
can
you
start
would-
moving
I
on.
think that what the authority is looking for, though, I think is we're trying to get, I mean, if you want to go out and have them give you a quote there, we can do that. I have a quote from the arborist, what he thinks it's worth.
Okay.
And so, but I think the goal for the authority is to say, what's the total project versus looking at it piece by piece?
Yep.
And getting to the spot where
Okay.
where it's a total piece that we're resolving and we have a specific plan from start to finish versus doing this, then having another
Yeah,
issue and then
yeah.
doing this and having another issue, we address it and just say, this is the whole plan going forward.
Steve, by that, are you implying that, hey, we get that number for the whole plan and it's a financial settlement and then we manage everything from there?
I'm thinking that's a possibility.
I think that would be, I mean, the
I
board
thought
is
from the-
deliberating this, and,
From
yeah,
your legal perspective, I think that's the best way to get it done from the authority, for the authority.
and it might be the quickest way for you to, you know,
Yeah.
be able to
yeah.
get this thing moving, you know,
Sure.
forward, especially where the fall is coming and it's the best time to plant.
Yeah,
and get everything done.
The various activities that need to occur on the property would form the basis of that, obviously, but once you get the money, you know, I think you can do as you desire, when you desire.
Yeah, that was my next question. Is it kind of like that, you know, car insurance underwriting, here's your thing, we're done? Because the last time that didn't work out real well when there was, you know, an authority check on the work before we get reimbursed, right? So getting paid up front is definitely,
Optimal, I think.
yeah, because,
Yeah, 'cause we're still
Because
out
you're not
600,
coming out of
300.
pocket, right?
right, which is, you know, definitely something else we'd like to talk about tonight.
Yeah. And the other thing I was just gonna throw out there is ideally, if you had, you know, one contractor kind of just to spearhead the whole thing, to do your drainage grading, to do your screening, to do the rest of the lawn restoration, they can sub out their own tree guy.
Sure.
Or you can have them work directly with Jeff Green or wherever else you want. That way you're dealing with one contractor versus three different contractors and trying to coordinate that. can be a nightmare.
That's the legal concept of one throat to choke.
Yeah, well, especially, you know, we're not happy at all with Earth Care, right?
Yeah.
We just feel
No.
been disingenuous and not a good company to work with.
And the other part of this is if you're choosing who you're doing in that piece, if we come to that kind of a settlement, we're bound more by lowest cost. You're not. And so you can pick
Sure.
quality and you can do
Sure.
that. And so this is a way for us to, and for you to get what you're looking for.
So then to summarize, so basically we need to talk to a we need to get the plans so that we can share them with a landscaper. Share them with a landscaper, get a quote for that, get a quote for the trees and submit that. And then I gave you some of our other costs that you have there.
Yeah, you just gave those to me this evening,
yeah.
so we'll go through those.
Yeah. And then that will encompass a package that we'll discuss at the next meeting.
I would suspect that between now and the next meeting, if we can get all that together, we'll be discussing that offline a little bit, and then hopefully the authority would be in a position to make a decision at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Versus,
on the
I think
amount.
that's the ultimate goal, is to get to a spot where we can make a decision that both parties are happy with.
Sure,
and move
sure.
forward.
I'm still not clear on the conditional usage of earth care. So
Well-
right now, they're coming in, they believe they're coming into for reparation work, right?
Well,
It's-
I think you can, that could be up to you after we get all of these numbers together, right? Then you could decide, do you want Earth Care to come back? Because they're committed right now for no extra money to do that work up front. Or do you want to say, I don't want them back on my property? And we're gonna,
We don't want to pay twice for the same,
yeah,
right? So if Earth Care is obligated to.
I don't want to pay.
Come.
You guys haven't paid yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we're going to, hopefully before the next phase. of
Right,
things,
right.
So, including the reimbursement from the 6,200. So ultimately.
But that's why I said earlier about the on-site, because I think, like I said, Maria, I think it was your point. Like if Earth Care came in, they got to be managed. The situation that happens, and I don't expect it to be any different, is their project manager shows up, dumps 2 or 3 people off with a truck. We can't communicate with them. Nobody knows what's going on. It's hard to reach people on the phone. So that business relationship doesn't exist, and it's kind of eroded our trust in Earth Care.
yeah. So Dave, what do you think about, as far as extra costs for us, for the municipal authority, to have you there to supervise maybe at key points, if in fact they were gonna come out and redo what they were supposed to do properly the first time?
Yeah, I think that Earth Care's, the remainder of their work is probably like about a half a day's worth of work.
Okay, so for you to show up.
For me
at
to
least-
show up, you're looking at like maybe $500 for that
Okay.
day. But the amount of work that they're doing is probably only worth between $500 and $1,000, but then they have, mobilization costs and whatnot to get in there. So the amount of like soil and seed that they're gonna put down is not.
That's why,
You could say.
see, do you
It
see what
never
I'm
was.
saying? Like, it might be
Never was that
worth,
significant.
I was gonna say, it's not,
To
it may not
me,
be worth the
it
effort to
might
have
be
them
better
come
for you to
out.
roll it into your, whatever
That's right.
contractor you're gonna have this wonderful
Yeah.
relationship with, I'm hoping.
Yeah,
right?
I think we prefer that as well,
Yeah.
but I didn't know how that.
I mean, given-
We'll have them
Earth Care
put it in
on
their
retainer
price,
over here
you know?
waiting?
Given the relationship that the Layersons had with Earth Care and the risk of having them come back and having the Layersons be unhappy with the finished product again, and then further expose the authority to have to, again, do additional work, I think it makes sense for the Layersons just to roll everything in with one contractor that they select and they're happy with, to do everything soup to nuts from the whole
And just,
scope.
I would let your contractor know that work you've already paid for, right? And that you're hoping to utilize the funds that, the authority pays out for refurbishing the remaining portion of your property. You're hoping that includes kind of rectifying some of these issues. It's gonna be a
I'm
big
sorry, I
enough
didn't- I
project.
didn't follow that.
Well, I would just ask them to give you a price for that,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
include
okay,
it in their
okay.
price.
Yeah, include the whole thing. Yeah, I
That's
got
my
you.
backwards,
Or-
my roundabout way.
Yeah.
Or here's a question I have. If they're gonna access the property anyway, and they access it the same way that Earth Care and the tree company and everybody else did, aren't they gonna have to restore it anyway?
Right.
It's gonna be part of
So
their.
Correct.
it may be
Exactly.
incidental to
Right.
their contract anyway.
Very, very good point.
All right. So then,
To what?
can we get the arborist report and the survey so that we can start contacting people with that
Yeah,
information?
the arborist, the basics on the arborist report, I mean, he hasn't given me a written report. Basically, he just gave me a verbal report as we walked out, and he said the 3 trees that are in the far back,
Yeah.
he believes
Yeah.
were issues. He said the one tree that was the larger tree that's near your green grass area, your yard area that you had asked about, he feels that there was no significant damage done to
Oh, by
that
the
tree.
shed.
The
Between
one by the
and
shed.
yard. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, so he
What
felt,
about the ironwood at the top?
and he said he felt like the ironwood was gonna recover. And so that's where he was with those.
Okay, so just the 3 in the
In the
back.
back. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there
Three
a,
Which is
like a
good.
time frame on the ironwood? It's, because that was at the beginning of the project. So it's had 2 years, almost 2 years of recovery already.
Yeah, he did, I think he does not see it in decline, is what
Okay.
he told me. And
Okay.
that's, and you know,
Yeah.
whether it's gonna,
Yeah.
you know, like I don't think he's committing, nor are we committing that it's gonna necessarily be 100% back to what it was.
Right,
But
right.
it's not in decline and he doesn't see it dying. And that's
Okay.
what he was looking.
All right, that's good. That's
He
good.
sees the other 3 as in decline.
Okay. Yeah. And then, you have anything else?
I know the other piece that you have, I think, is the 6,300.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I don't want to speak for the group, but I think that what we are talking about, actually, I'm gonna turn it over to Mike.
Well,
It does have something to say today.
I mean, I think I could do a very limited release on a 6,300. My thought process is evolving a little bit as this conversation has evolved though. I mean, we can figure, I'm sure we can figure it out. I'm sure we can figure it
Okay.
out. And I think there's enough remaining work to do a second, more general release and wrap everything up once we get to it. So if you give me a week or so to work with Dave to get the description of that piece of the project down, I think we can come up with.
Great.
Great. Okay.
And that's something, then we don't have to wait till the September meeting, right? If you're-
You might have to wait till the beginning of September, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
it might
yeah,
take
yeah.
a week or 2 to get it done. But I don't
Yeah.
think you'll have to wait all the way.
We
And
can
I
get,
think my recollection is that you approved this already,
Based
subject
on
to
your-
Legal
my
review.
approval, so it's still sitting out there, that approval, so we can use that.
So do you see what we're saying that?
yeah,
Okay, okay, good.
and we can give Dave our address if he wants. to.
Hey, where do you live again?
Dave's been over there, hasn't he?
Just don't expect it to show up dressed like this.
Yeah.
No. All right.
I will send you a copy of the plan.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right,
Okay.
thank you.
We look forward to helping you resolve
We
this.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're a little bit out of order here, but we got something significant.
One other
done.
question for the operation manager's
Go
report.
right ahead.
And maybe I should have asked when Rich was on the line, but have we started with Portnoy?
Is Rich still on the line?
I am still in line. We are scheduled for a kickoff meeting with Portnoy actually Wednesday afternoon. And then we will hopefully have a list for the board to approve for us to send over to Portnoy, and we should be able to start the collection process relatively soon.
Great, thank you.
Great. Anything else for you, Steve? Okay.
That's it.
All right, so moving on to 9.1 on our agenda. Consider approving the transfer of funds from the CR3 capital account to operating account in the amount of $1,069,788.31 to make the September 1, 2022 bond payment. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a
Second,
second?
second,
Okay, we'll give that to Mark. He
Okay.
was first. Any questions or comments on that? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
aye,
All right, moving on, consider approving the bills on check register A dated August 15, 2022, totaling $430,493.63. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second from Mark. Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Consider approving the bills and check register B dated August 15, 2022, totaling $74.45.
The one bill.
The one bill. Consider approving the one bill.
So moved.
Second. Second from Tom. All those in favor?
aye,
Aye. Consider approving the following payments on the bond, from the bond for the Act 537 Public Sewer Project. $15,006.87 to Herbert MacCombie Engineers for engineering work associated with Camelot Service Area. May I have a motion?
motion
Well,
to.
yeah, let's
approve.
do all three. Good idea. Thank you, Louis. And so combining that, $2,970 for Herbert MacCombie Engineers for engineer work associated with the Ashford Service Area, and $6,409.99 for MacCombie Engineers for engineering work associated with the Camelot Service Area, which was tabled at the April 18, 2022 Municipal Authority meeting. And then $32,709.54 for JOA Bradley Construction for construction work associated with the Camelot Service Area. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Thank you, Louis. Thank you, Mark. All those, any questions or comments on those? Right. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye,
All right, moving on. Consider approving a payment from the bond in the amount of $6,985 to James J. Greenhall Jr. Plumbing and Heating for culvert repairs and the installation of a U-drain at 4111 Goshen Road. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
motion to approve.
Okay. Can I have a second?
Second,
I'll take Tom for the second. Any questions or comments? I think this was on the last month's meeting, but now we're approving the funding coming from the bond. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Consider approving a payment from the bond totaling $21,250 to Brandywine Tree and Shrub for tree removal expenses associated with the 537 Public Sewer Project build out. This was tabled as well, but back in January 11, 2021 Municipal Authority meeting. Was it really 2021? Or is it 2022?
The tree removal was done in October of 21. So I think.
I think that's-
I think it
Okay.
should be 2022.
So let the record reflect that is January 11, 2022. All right, may I have a motion?
motion to approve.
Mark makes the motion. Can I have a second? All right, second from Tom. Any questions, any other questions or
I
comments?
just would like a clarification because we didn't have a municipal authority meeting on January 11th, 22.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that date is. That's a really good point. Steve, any help you can give us on that?
Unless the 0 was omitted from 10,
Okay, I'm not
it's supposed to be
comfortable
October 11th, 21.
with this. Is it relevant why this was tabled?
Yes, it's tree work that was done on the old master's property for clearing related to the access drive and electrical installation.
Oh, so that was
The
the,
contractor erroneously encroached on the adjacent property.
Right.
Yeah.
The authority tabled payment of this until that was more or less resolved.
Okay.
So
So we could easily say it was tabled at a prior municipal
Yes.
authority meeting.
I think it was sorry, I think it was probably January 17th of 2022,
can
but
we talk about this for a second? First of all, is there a motion? Why don't we make the motion? Yeah, we have a motion.
You have a
we have a
motion.
second.
You're good.
So-
So you're in
So we're good.
discussion.
Because I am concerned about, was there a fault ever attributed to who was supposed, we cut down some trees on somebody else's property.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the Rafferty action.
Yes.
counterclaim for this. I don't know that that's resolved.
I don't know that we should be paying a contractor for an unresolved matter. And is this contractor aware of the dispute?
I mean, my preference, and I'm not sure why it came back this month, but my preference would be, unless there's some urgency, that you table it. Let me have a conversation with Catania about the status of that portion of the claim, and report back to you on that.
I appreciate it. So look, this matter is going to be tabled
Thank you.
until,
So you should probably have a motion to withdraw that motion.
okay.
I would make a motion to withdraw that based upon the advice of our solicitor.
I will second that motion. Any
I
questions?
I just would like to report, it was tabled at the November 1st meeting, 2021. I apologize. That is my fault.
November, so it's supposed to be 11.
11/1.
Okay, so we,
Instead of
it was,
11.
they moved, what happened is they moved the slash, 11/1/2021. Okay. But
There's a
we are,
motion.
we have a motion, it's been seconded. Any other questions or comments on tabling this item? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, next, consider approving the $750 escrow release payment to Jennifer Lavelle at 259 Overbrook Drive for sewer connection project. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second from Lewis. Any questions or comments? Rich, you're good with that one, right? Escrow release?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, consider approving.
One, before you.
Okay, go ahead.
If there's any future reference, the sub-paragraph numbers are not numbering properly. It's.
I see
11,
that too.
11.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yep.
mean anything. but-
Okay. All right, item that is called 11.3, even though it should be 11.4. Consider approving 401.26, I'm sorry, and 26 cents escrow release payment to Zoom Drain. Is that a company, Rich? I'm sorry.
Is.
It
Yeah.
is.
Okay, at 209 Hansel Road for sewer connection project. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second from Mark. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consider approving September 1, 2022 sewer revenue bond series 2018 bond payment in the amount of $1,418,009.38. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Is that the correct amount?
Rich, can you confirm that amount?
The amount should be $1,418,009.38.
Yep. Okay, so we just we only transferred $1,000,006 because we had funding in the general fund already, correct?
Yes, that's correct. You have $347,500 in the bond fund already, and the difference would make up your full payment.
I will make that motion.
Second.
One other sort of follow-up question. Rich, you forwarded an email, and maybe you shouldn't have because it was pretty confusing. It was from the trustee, and it was, I wasn't quite sure they made a movement between accounts, and it was just more confusing than it was clarifying.
Sure. So the reason that was included was that email actually described exactly what we were just talking about. We're making a payment of $1.4 million, but we're only transferring, I believe, it was
$1,069,788.31.
correct. So the invoice actually reads that we're only paying, the amount due is only $1,069,788 because that is less the cash that is already in the fund.
Right, it was I guess it was the
300.
use of language when it said remainder, and I'm just scrolling through to look for that email. The reality is it doesn't affect the motion that's on the table right now, so I'll withdraw my comment.
Okay. All right, we have a first and a second on that. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Consider authorizing the operations manager to sign a customer order for My Excel GL software add-on in the amount of $900 with an ongoing annual cost of $300 per year.
So moved.
Okay, thanks, Louis. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second from Tom. Any questions or comments on that?
I would just make note, this is this allows us to pull information in and out of our software that we have right now, put it into an Excel format and be able to create the kind of documents that you're looking for that we're unable to do so currently in our current system.
Great.
Great, appreciate it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Next, consider authorizing AP Construction to construct an emergency access driveway to the old Masters Pump Station with payment not to exceed $96,000. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Madam Chair, can I just request that this motion be made subject to something?
Yes,
Whether it's my approval or your approval or Steve's approval or somebody's approval.
yeah. I would revise my, the motion to make this payment subject to legal review and review of the operations manager as well.
And maybe it makes sense for the public record that somebody gives a 2-second explanation of what the emergency
Yeah,
is
I
before
think-
we vote on that.
I like that, Louis. So maybe when, as part of the legal review, I would prefer that the memo that was issued by, that was drafted and still remains in draft by Mr. Porter be reviewed. So that this is subject to review, legal review, before finalization. And I know the memo, I'd like to know, have it actually issued by you.
Sure, absolutely. And if the authority is inclined, I can offer, a brief synopsis of what constitutes the emergency. Florida Park, there's about 130 residential homes that are on, a lot of them, for lack of a better term, failing or malfunctioning on-lot sewage disposal systems. There's been documented cases where there's been actually sewage on the ground, sewage draining into the tributary that flows down below the neighborhood. So that in itself constitutes the nature of the emergency.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
We appreciate that background. And so now at motion having been revised to be subject to legal review and review of the operations manager. And that review to include the review of the finalized memo from the engineer. So we got three people involved there. May I have a motion? Well, I'll make the motion, okay, as revised. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Louis, thank you. And any further questions or comments on that?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And next, consider approving the Equus BPG to use the 14,800 gallons of undesignated Newtown Township capacity in the CDC area, conditioned on the following requirements: approval and execution of the operations manager, solicitor, and town municipal authority solicitor and township solicitor. Equus BPG assumes the responsibility of coordinating with the appropriate owners, developers to secure the release of unused allocated gallons in the following developments. Are Terrazza, the station at Newtown Square Apartments, Muirwood HOA, Sunrise of Newtown Square, commercial units located between 202 and 226 South Newtown Street Road.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, before
Yes.
anybody makes a motion, we need to amend this here. I got information this afternoon that Equus has been informed by DEP that they believe instead of being 14,800 gallons, they need 15,525 gallons. So that would need to be a change that would need to be made there. If I can just take a moment to explain what's going on and why there's a township solicitor involved in this, that might help everybody understand. So the 537 plan belongs to the township versus the authority. The authority's been tasked with actually administering and fulfilling the 537 plan. In that process, when the township went and started looking at the flows that it tried to encumber with the CDCA, it went through and determined what each developer thought they were going to need. It looked at what homes were already here. It kind of anticipated some infill that might happen once the shore lines were put in, and some lots were actually pretty large because they had septic systems on it. After those septic systems go away, there potentially could be some additional building, or there could be some lots that didn't perk, and so they never were built, and now they could be built. And so that's the kind of thing that was out there. The township has about 30,000 gallons of unused, undedicated usage that's available. The township isn't ready to just give that away totally. And so what we've asked for Equus and BPG, who need some additional gallons, and not only what you see in front of you, but they also need some additional gallons beyond that, closer to, I believe, about 32,000 or something like that total. We've asked them, based on knowing some work that Dave did, he went back and determined that some of these developments that were done over the last decade or so have not used all of their allotment, and there's about 33,000 gallons there. So we want those released. And so we're working with Equus and BPG to get that done, and they're going to take the lead on that. But in order for them to move forward with the project that they've already started at the Ellis Preserve, they're asking to use this 15,525 gallons of the reserve that the township has. And so the reason for both the review of your solicitor and the township solicitor is that we would make sure that the document of what the expectations are for BPG and Equus is clearly documented. And they're actually working already, their solicitor's already working with the township solicitor towards that. And so, but that will be reviewed by your solicitor, the township solicitor, and myself to make sure, and also the engineer, to make sure everything's in line with what they want to do. But by doing this, they will be able to move forward with the office building. And there's also a event center that's part, and they would allow them to move forward with both of those projects.
What would happen if we didn't have excess capacity?
They would have to do a full module and go back and basically do an increase to the 537 plan and do that. This is a little bit more streamlined in the process.
And how much excess capacity would we have after this allocation?
So because we're going back and acquiring we're going to go back.
You
and get
understand?
the
So
release.
let me, I don't want to like beat around the bush. Let me just be real clear. There is some avoidance of significant capital infrastructure costs by us allocating this. Yeah, I mean, if we were at zero, we're in the business of making sure people are connected.
Sure.
Is
I
it more
think
than
I
we
can-
anticipated? Is it less than we anticipated?
please ask the question again so I
So
understand.
when we initially got the allocation from CDCA and we thought we'd have development at different
Yes.
parts of the SR3 sort of territory, is this kind of what we thought?
We're in
those-
line close. I mean, there,
You know what I'm getting at. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wanna make
yeah,
sure
yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
not
So-
over allocating for
Gotcha.
one, and then somebody builds something and it's sort of like, well, last to the table, no more room.
Yeah, so understand that we still have allocation for folks who are last at the table that's over and above this. And so like, for example, the property that's on Westchester Pike that's yet to be developed.
Correct. Yeah.
Going out of town,
Right.
going to the west.
Mhm.
I mean, there's allocations for that. There's allocations for the property across the street from that.
Okay, so
There's,
somebody within the authority, somebody is monitoring that allocation. so
your
that at
engineers
some point in
monitor.
time- So if, just for my own education,
Yep.
if there is some table or spreadsheet that you allocate, I would love to just sort of see it and read it
Sure.
and learn a little
Be
bit
happy
more
with
about it.
that.
I apologize.
That's an easy.
That's
provide.
what I was.
Yeah.
And I say that because the engineer will take care of it.
Right. Well, my guess is at some point in time, couple of 3 years down the road, somebody's going to come to the authority saying, we need our allocation.
Yeah, and like I said, so you have allocation that was given, like I said, to this development that's the development that's here that I've listed.
Right.
That wasn't used. Okay, so that's what we're going to go back and get.
Use first.
And try to use, but we also had 30,000 that the township said, we're gonna kind of hold this back
As infill.
as
Yes.
infill to take care
Got
of,
it.
an extra house on Phillips Lane and those kind of things. The developers gave us a number. They've had a change in their number, and that's what they're asking for, but they're committing to going and getting this additional usage that's kind of hanging out there. They're gonna go do the street work and the legwork to get that released, which will cover their part. What they're asking for is for us to upfront this 15,000 while they do that work. If that makes sense. Am I saying that right, Dave?
I mean, does this have anything to do with lack of planning on their part? Like, why are we asking for this now? I mean, I'm just looking at, it's no secret that, residents in this community are disgusted with, the massive amounts of construction that went on in the center of their town. And, now we're on record as,
I don't know if that's factual, but some people are, some people aren't.
okay,
I would say this, that, when Equus initially went in, there was a plan, and the plan has changed. There has been an adjustment to that plan. And part of the adjustment to that plan, it originally, and this goes back prior to even my coming to the township and my being here, but there was a plan that there was to be more retail. And
it was
if
supposed to be
you're,
suburban squares. what we
yeah,
were
if
told.
you're familiar
And
with.
now we've got numerous levels of apartment buildings.
Yeah,
I
but if
mean,
you're familiar with what's happened in retail, retail is very different today than it was 15 years ago. And,
Yeah, I just don't know where all of these, apartment buildings came from in the center of town. I mean, it's just-
well,
but whatever, that's not
Yeah.
our job here today, so
well,
it's okay.
I
get
was gonna
it.
say, that's all
I
been done
get
through
it.
the planning process, the
Yeah,
land
it's
development
not,
side.
it's outside of this, the purview of this authority. So, okay. I
Okay.
don't know. So
Yeah,
you want
I
us
do
to,
want to just let the authority know that on an annual basis, we do what's called a Chapter 94 waste load allocation
Mhm.
report. We look at all the pump stations, all the flow meters in the town. We look at projected development. And we work with the developers on how much they anticipate to add to the system, consider how much infill, and then project what the flow is going to be based on that. So we do present and future development, we account for that and look at that moving forward. And that spreadsheet is directly out of that report, which I'll send to you.
Great, thank you.
okay, so
Okay,
I don't think we have a motion, and then we want to amend that to the 15,525 gallons. Is what I think you said, Steve.
yes. I just wanna make sure.
I
Okay, so
don't think
I'm-
you need a motion to amend on something that's sort of. de
Not
minimis like
amend, but
this.
yeah, just, I'm just,
Yeah, but you do need a motion.
yeah, just a motion. Just a motion, as stated, with the number of 15,525 gallons of undesignated Newtown Township capacity in the CDC area, conditioned upon the requirements already listed. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Yeah, I have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 12.4, consider award of contract to Wexen Inc. for sanitary sewer main replacement within the Westchester Pike, with the typo there, within Westchester Pike in the SR2 service area for alternate number 2, alternate number 1. Oh, I guess we have 2 alternatives here, right? Alternative number 1 consisting of 40, what is this, linear feet of sanitary sewer repair in the amount of $49,050, or the other option would be consisting of 350 linear feet of sanitary sewer replacement from manhole to manhole in the amount of $312,575. I guess the other alternative would be to do nothing and to put this off for a period of time. So I think what we ought to do is unfortunately, I think we need to discuss it before we actually make the motion, because we've got 2 alternates. We have 2 alternatives here. So, I mean, can you speak to this, Dave?
Sure.
As far as the 2 alternatives?
So alternate 1 is the 40 lineal feet of sanitary sewer replacement. This project was started as a result of some sanitary sewer blockages along that stretch of sanitary sewer main. In connection with our township public works, the RHM Sewer Authority had a crew go out and televise that sewer main. They were unable to get a camera through certain portions of that main, either going upstream or downstream from either manhole. That 40 lineal feet represents just that portion where they could not get the camera access through. The 350 lineal feet is inclusive of everything from manhole to manhole. It also includes doing some infiltration and inflow abatement to the 2 manholes themselves, which means we're basically going to coat those manholes on the inside to prevent groundwater from seeping into the system, and then replacing the frame and cover to prevent surface drainage from inflow into the system. And that's important in that anything that gets into the system, obviously the authority has to pay to Radnor Haverford for Marple, and then any of the other treatment entities that are downstream. So you're basically treating clean water. With that, the cost for that I&I abatement was significantly high. It was on the order of $20,000 per manhole. Just to give you a frame of reference, you probably could dig up the street and put a manhole in there for $15,000, a brand new precast concrete sanitary manhole. So I wouldn't recommend including that in, if you were inclined to award a bid or award a contract, would not recommend including that in there. And in addition to that, on both of the alternates, the pipe cost right now is across the board on every project we've been seeing is significantly high, comparatively speaking to what we saw on the sanitary sewer project. And then looking at that from 2018 and inflating that cost based on the consumer price index, we're still on the order of 150% to 180% higher than what the costs were we saw in that project. So in lieu of awarding the contract, and by the way, this was the only bidder on the
Right.
job, so
Okay.
it's something that the authority should consider.
I was forgetting that there was only one bidder.
Only one
I'm
bidder.
sorry. Okay.
So the authority could elect to not award the contract just for budgetary purposes, rebid the project at a later date, probably either toward the end of 2022 or in the beginning of 2023. And then work with the Township Public Works and RHM to further monitor that stretch of sanitary sewer system so that we don't incur any further sanitary sewer blockages.
And a
or
refinement
overflows.
in scope, correct?
Correct, yes,
Because this seems like option one, option two.
correct, yes. And the reason that recommendation is to include manhole to manhole is obviously if you're addressing each of the sanitary manholes and the entire pipe run in between, the existing pipe material is partially terracotta or vitrified clay pipe. So anytime we're making a connection between vitrified clay and plastic pipe, you have a susceptible differential settlement there and difference in connection in those two pipe materials. So the recommendation would be to do manhole to manhole if it's within the authority's budget. In addition to that, there's several sanitary sewer laterals that connect with the apartment complex that's immediately adjacent to the street in that area. So if we did just the 40 lineal feet, I think we're only replacing maybe one sanitary sewer lateral. Then you have, 2 or 3 other ones that would still have to be addressed as part of that.
Got it. Terracotta, I didn't think we'd be talking about terracotta.
Yeah.
But this sort of like popped in my mind, some of the discussions Tom and I have had in our subcommittee about, ensuring that the authority develop adequate reserves for, future rehabilitation of terracotta and whatever other prehistoric materials we may be using. And I apologize for being cute about it, but if we had chosen, let's just say the larger option here, what fund would that come out of right now?
It would come out of your capital fund, and there are dollars that we've been collecting over the last several years that we've called infrastructure fee.
Right.
There's a $5 fee that's charged. I don't think there's enough to cover all of it, but it substantially would be covered out of that.
So as we've talked a little bit about, and future reserves and making sure that we have enough money to deal with situations like this and potentially even be proactive and just go out and fix what we know is really, really old under the street. Maybe as we look at this one, this gives us a point of extrapolation of what the rest of the road or the rest of that area looks like. If we knew it was all built 50, 60 years ago, we can probably extrapolate what the cost might be for a project 3 or 4 years down the road. It might just be good information to have now, especially for budgeting.
Sure. Yeah, other authorities and municipalities have gone through kind of a reconnaissance for they'll segregate areas of the sanitary sewer system in all likelihood ones that are much older than the rest of the system. Trouble areas that are within stream beds or adjacent to stream beds. Obviously this project's in state highway, so the costs are unique to state highway work. Some of it's in, residents' rear yards and easements. So there's off-road work that could be undertaken. But yeah, I mean, the SR2 service area is significantly older than the SR3.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we're looking at, in some cases, 70, 80-year-old pipe that's in the ground.
Okay.
And just speak briefly to, the risks in putting this off for, let's say, a quarter or 6 months or a year.
So the risk is obviously with a pipe that's not in perfect condition. If you can't fit a camera through it, your risk of blockage is much higher than on a normal basis.
Which
So
is the case here.
Which is the case here. So anytime there's a piece of broken pipe or anything that can catch a piece of fabric or a piece of solid, it's going to, all it takes is one disposable wipe to get caught in that area. And then what happens is fats and oils and grease build up on that. And then you have what's called a fatberg, this big, huge conglomerate of fats, oils, and grease that ends up clogging the pipe. And then you have a sanitary sewer blockage, it either goes back into somebody's residence, somebody's business, or it comes up out of a manhole and is on the ground. So
What
that's
would-
the risk.
Yeah. Okay. And, okay, well, I don't know, I'm comfortable making a motion to put this off for a quarter. I wouldn't want to go any further than that as far as, getting, rebidding it since we only had one bidder.
Forgot about that.
Yeah,
I think your motion on this would be to reject all bids and rebid.
okay, in 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to reject all bids related to the sewer replacement on Westchester Pike. And rebid in 3 months.
Second.
Any other questions or comments on that?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for that sort of explanatory.
Yeah, that was very helpful. Okay, old business, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed sewer adjustment for 227 Charles Ellis Drive. That's building 100-200. We've discussed this item in the past, and I think we have some additional information that came in, but was not complete at
Well,
this stage.
Yeah, Rich provided us with an email thread, which, clarified at least the source of where we were coming up with our projected adjustment.
Mhm.
It would be my recommendation to ask Rich and/or Stephen and/or Mike to see if we can get something for our file from Aqua America that on their letterhead that outlines exactly what the basis for the two billing reversals were, so that we have something in our file. The reality is, and it's not the perfect way, but we use water consumption as the basis for us billing sewage usage. So I don't know if I have to make a motion, but I would make a recommendation and ask the operations manager to do that.
Maybe make a recommendation that the operations manager provide that,
And/or the solicitor.
or the solicitor provide that additional information, and we table it at this stage.
Somebody.
One of us will reach out to Rockwell and ask them to get that information from Aqua for us. I mean, there's no point in you paying me to call Aqua because that doesn't make a ton of sense.
Right.
Right.
When it should be incumbent on them to prove their case. So.
So
Thank you.
is that something you can handle, Steve?
Work with the solicitor and come up with the best way to go at this, but it sounds like we'll handle it. And then
You'll make
I-
the request.
I think we're going to make the request of Rockwell to do the legwork because
Gotcha.
they're the ones that are asking for this.
Good move.
And so what we'll do is we'll come up with the best, what exactly we want
Right.
from Aqua detailed, and then we'll get that to them and tell them this is what we need.
And that's important for us to have as a basis to consider. But I will tell you that we relied on that billing for us to bill Rockwell, whatever it's called, custom or whatever the entity is. I would, unfortunately, we're not a large entity. We don't have retained earnings. I think I've said that in the past. And because we relied on information that was erroneous because they leaked water because of the work that they did, I think Rockwell might want to ask for a partial adjustment, which I think would be highly appropriate considering it wasn't intentional on their part, but our billing mechanism was misled to some extent. Unintentionally, but it was.
Right.
We may have made other financial decisions, either this board or the prior board, had we known what our real accounts receivable balance was.
Right, there was some reliance
Just-
on that information, and therefore we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence before we take any further action.
Just a
So-
suggestion that would,
No, I think
I could
that's
see
fine.
that one happening.
All right, so we're going to table this item, and there is no motion. on the floor.
Thank you.
Okay, and next, we hopefully have a short debt service
It is
subcommittee
so
update.
short. We
Great.
did not meet this past month and we
Okay.
will very shortly. We gave you an extensive discussion on four just directions we're taking. So we'll wait for next meeting.
Perfect. We really appreciate the work you guys are putting into that. All right, no other public comment, as I see the public, any members of the public have since left. And items for next agenda, any issues or nothing that we haven't discussed and made clear already, right?
Only if something you want to bring up, we'll add as we go through, but
I think we're okay as far as the items that have been tabled and that type of thing.
yep,
So,
we got that.
all right, then at this stage, we will a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Take care.
Second. See you, Mark.
All those.
Take care. Bye.
And I think Robert's rule says you don't have to vote on